I know, but like, look at that photo. Look at that photo and tell me, like,
well, that he's not punching.
Yeah.
Well, you almost did. So here we are.
You can't put that in the episode, Emily.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Footnotes, the stories that won't make the history books because they don't matter. I'm your host, Emily Whitehead, and welcome to this week's episode. It's Sabrina Capenter, the worst person you've met ever. I am joined today by a very special guest, my first guest without a penis, Zoe Hercus.
Hi, everybody.
Zoe, please introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, Emily,
you do have a penis.
I do have a penis.
Sorry,
it's massive.
It is metaphorically huge.
It's not metaphorical. I do have it. It's huge.
Insert picture that I drew of you peeing in the uni toilets from a distance 2 years ago. Did I draw that picture that was 2023, I'm pretty sure.
But it is mythical.
It's a mythical cock.
Yeah, it is. It's truly beautiful. It's truly majestic. If you've seen it, you know.
So this episode, we are going to be talking about the controversy behind Sabrina Carpenter's new album cover. That was, I think, that was teased about a week ago, I believe. I have the exact date written down.
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
What's your expertise? How does your expertise fit into this?
Well, first of all, I'm really beautiful, so I think that makes me qualified to talk about like other beautiful people. Mm-hmm. I was once blonde, so I think I can talk about blonde people as well. I can talk to blonde people as well. It's like a whole thing.
I actually had my roots freshly done yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
Everyone say how nice they look.
They look beautiful.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I have an honours degree in media studies.
Yeah.
And I just generally have a passion for pop culture and talking about pop culture.
First class honours, I do believe, in your dissertation.
I did. I'm in a feminist book club.
So you would you say you're a feminist?
I would say I'm a feminist.
That's pretty controversial here. That's a pretty controversial take. Okay, I'm actually trying to pander to the right, the alt-right.
Okay. Hey, alt-right.
Hey, alt-right.
Do you like the look of this feminist?
No.
I think they do. And I'm just generally pretty cool, so yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I think I'm qualified to be here.
I think you are too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want any fun facts about yourself you want to share before we start?
Fun facts about me.
Fat ass?
Yeah, I have, again, like a mythical dick and a mythical fat ass.
Mythical
titties as well. Again, my mom's gonna watch this.
I'm sure she's aware.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte. Fuck, I don't know. Fun facts about me. I'm not very interesting.
You're like, oh, terrible taste in men.
Terrible taste.
Worst taste in women.
I have fantastic taste in men and women, I think. I'm just like... I don't know.
Shout out
everyone who's watching this podcast who I have been intimate with.
Which actually there is, I have one listener at least.
At least, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I know for sure I have one. Shout out. But we know, I have at least one of your former lovers.
I think at least...
Does he listen to the podcast?
I'll tell them about it. You should have two if you have good friends. If you don't have two, your friends are bad.
No, I know he doesn't listen. Yeah. But does.
Bad friend. Hey!
Hi. Before we actually start, I wanted to talk, I have this little segment I prepared for you. It's called Rank Your Former Lovers in Bed. So the lineup for this week's episode, we are talking about America. Have you heard of this place?
No.
No, me neither. But mainly, we're going to be discussing Sabrina Capenter, specifically around the controversy behind her new album, her upcoming album, Man's Best Friend, that is being released later this year.
In
and
August,
then we'll, talk about the feminist implications of this. Should we get cracking?
Yeah, let's get cracking.
So, we're going to begin. Okay. Sabrina Capenter, 5th of June. 2025. So Sabrina Capenter released Manchild on the 5th of June. I've got a picture here of the cover and their Instagram post saying, "This one's about you. Manchild is out Thursday, 5th of June." Mm-hmm. But she wrote 6/5 because she's American and they do that. Yeah, they put the month before the day.
Yeah, that's not really fun. 8
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Special 7-inch vinyl available now.
7 inches?
Yeah, I know. On the 12th of June then, so about like a week later, announced her new album, Man's Best Friend, coming out August 29th, 2025. Can't wait for it to be yours. X, pre-order now. And showed a picture of the album cover.
I wasn't sure whether to do it.
You can do whatever you like, baby.
Alexa, play Man-Child.
Man-Child, why you always coming running to me?
Okay, moving on.
Anyway, and this is where the controversies really begin. So when did you first start listening to Sabrina Carpenter, would you say?
Oh, that's a good question.
I actually would love to know a bit of your history about
I mean, I didn't really... I actually haven't listened to the entirety of Emails.
That's fine.
I've never said.
Emails I can't send.
Emails I can't... Yeah, I don't
Bitch.
even know.
Okay.
I actually don't even know the name of the album.
Okay, so fake fan.
I am kind of a fake fan. I just really like her new music.
But you are a real fan of feminist theory, which is why you're here.
But I also do really like Sabrina Capenter. I didn't really listen to her first album because honestly, I just...
Do you think Emails I Can't Send is her first album?
No, but like, I kind of... But she thinks that... Okay, you know, there's a whole thing of like, it's like her old Sabrina Capenter and the new Sabrina Carpenter. I'm like a thing of like, she wants it to be separate. I don't give a shit about her older albums.
Have you listened to it?
No.
Okay, so you're like kind of... Did you listen to all of Short and Sweet?
Yeah.
Because that's like...
I did.
I
did. No. I am a Sabrina Carpenter fan. And I have listened to all of Short and Sweet.
Oh, no, because I know you were a big fan of Man-Child when it came out, but I wasn't sure if you'd been a fan for... I started listening. I started listening, like last year when Short and Sweet came out. What?
It was a very important album for me.
Yeah, because you are Short and Sweet.
I am Short and Sweet.
And are constantly dealing with awful, evil men.
No, yes. I had...
You love Emails I Can't Send. There's so many songs like that on there.
Yeah, I just Short and Sweet just had a lot of songs that at the time I was like, oh yeah, I relate to this heavy. Mm-hmm. And it's just
like kind Bed Chem.
Yes, but also Sharp as Tool.
Yeah, real.
And yeah, I just really fucked with the album. And I was like, I really like what I like about Sabrina Capenter is like she really builds an aesthetic around her brand, and she really leans into a fantasy, and I find that really, really interesting. Like it's like a whole, like when you listen to a Sabrina Carpenter song, you're like going into her world and like almost like living like her. I feel like in a way, like when you listen to like when you're listening to Bedcam, you're like not listening to Sabrina Carpenter have a really amazing like chemistry with someone. You are thinking about you having amazing chemistry with someone. Like you're in her shoes, experiencing that.
Very, yeah, absolutely. I was so shocked that when we came back from Art Valley, and I was like, oh my god, new song. Yeah. And then even more shocked in the next week, it was like new album, because this has not even been a year since Short and Sweet was released. Which is why I was like, what?
I mean, yeah, she has this thing like Dolly Parton like released an album every year for like a couple of years.
I didn't know that. Is that
true? That's her like rationale was like all these new artists released all of these new songs, all these new albums like year and year and year. Like she's like, why can't I do the same thing?
Yeah. And she does say like, I remember seeing a thing where she was like, I got ideas. And I'm like, fair enough.
Do I think that Man-Child
is her bet?
Do I think that it's slightly underproduced? Yes.
And
do I think that it could have spent a little bit more time in the cooker? Yes. Am I happy that it came out? It felt like because it did come out before some stuff happened for me. And so it felt almost like prophetic. Like I was like, it came out and I was like, oh, this is a good song. Can't relate to it. A week later,
are you sure you couldn't relate to it already?
I could a little bit, but like not in the way that like I really needed to do it. It was like a prophecy that I didn't listen to, and then it was like I didn't like listen to it. And I'm like, oh, nice.
Yeah,
this is for me. This is my song now. I own it.
She did it really for you in a way.
Yeah, she did. Sabrina Capenter is paying attention to my life and my life only, and writing songs for me. I fear.
But yeah, no, I did agree that I was like a bit like, whoa, all right, we're doing this already, because we only just got on February 14th.
Yeah, the
bonus tracks for Short and Sweet,
which I also think
could have used a bit more in the cooker. Yeah. But I still love there's still songs I love, but also I do. It's like this sort of thing. We can have nuance. I can say I really haven't listened to Man-Child a lot of time. I really enjoyed 15 Minutes. I really enjoyed Man-Child. I've really enjoyed all the songs she's released this year. Could they have used a little more cooking?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the synths in Man-Child are a little bit like the I'm like, Jack Antonoff, let's stop.
Was it Jack Antonoff?
Yes.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, of course it was.
Let's stop. Let's sit down. let's like...
Jack Antonoff needs a break.
Let's like reevaluate. Okay.
Stay away from blonde women, Jack Antonoff. You've done enough. Just for a second. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat. Yeah. Go hang out with your wife. Mm-hmm. She's really hot. So now we should actually talk about the contrary. So people were... This was like a trick. So for those who haven't seen the album and who are just on listening mode, it is... Man's Best Friend, obviously, is the classic phrase referring to a dog. The back cover that she kind of released as well, I can put on the screen, but it's like a dog that looks like a Pomeranian or something. It's very close up with the collar and then the necklace says Man's Best Friend on it. Nice. But the main cover is a picture of her in a very lovely dress.
Very beautiful little black dress.
Little black dress.
An
in
LBD.
Little heels. On all fours with a faceless man kind of up, and he's kind of tugging on her.
Yeah.
It's like she's mimicking like being a dog for the man.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of saw this and I was like, yep.
Yeah, I was like, I saw this and I was like, okay.
But people
the internet exploded.
The first thing that shocked me about it, I was like, I didn't think this was particularly remarkable enough to warrant.
I think it was kind of, honestly, I was a little bit like, okay, fork found in kitchen.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
You think the person who was doing like Juno poses isn't going to do some shit like this? Like, okay.
You think the person who went on the BBC and did the ending of Nonsense and saying, I'm from America, I'm not British, so to me BBC means something different?
Yeah.
In 2020. Like,
again, fork found in kitchen, guys.
Anyway, but out. I think people weren't... Okay, we're going to get into some of the comments that both of us, I think, have compiled about...
I didn't compile... This is
this is all me? Oh, well, we'll talk a bit about... We'll start a bit with why people...
any work for this.
No, you did lots of work. Zoe does actually have some real feminist theory that we're going to get into, which is very exciting. Everyone say thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Zoe. So a lot of people who like it are like, it's satire. Sabrina's satire album cover is like those of creators saying it's empowering women, while contrary, it is the opposite. She's literally on her knees with a man grabbing her hair. Yes, but it represents very bad representation of men sexualizing women, by the way. Said one commenter on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Someone else said, saw someone say her music lacks the radicalism necessary to subvert the imagery she employs.
They may have a point there, but also fork found in kitchen.
Okay, so let's talk about how...
I kind of want to go through all the arguments before I have my
and
say.
then there's these were some of the ones. This was someone else that someone said that was, I guess, counter-arguing this, going, this is not necessarily directed at the creator, but at what point does a large portion of this criticism just become blatant slut-shaming and kink-shaming a woman for a piece of art which hasn't even come out yet? You've heard one song and seen the album cover, and that's it. You people need to put all the think pieces on hold until the album actually comes out, because what you're doing right now is nothing more than trying to be smarter than everyone else, and it's frankly embarrassing. So first of all, I want to say, like, what did you think when you saw this?
I thought it was just... I mean, everything that Sabrina Capenter does is referential. I thought she was just being referential to that kind of typical, like, 1950s kind of thing of, like, those, you know, those kind of classic posters that you see in, like,
and we have pictures of, we have those that we're gonna reference a TikTok that, like, talks about this in a minute.
But, like, it's all referential, right?
Yeah.
So it's, like, I was just like, oh, cool. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit like, okay, it did feel like a little bit of a step up, but I think I might be a little bit desensitized to it now that, like, I'm just looking at it and I'm like...
I've looked at it so much that it, like, loses its power to me.
Yeah, it has, truly. I'm just kind of like...
To me, I was like...
She's hot. Fuck. Sue me. Sabrina Capenter is so sexy. It's crazy.
You haven't heard her song, Sue Me, have you? Because that's on albums before, you might I can't stand.
Yeah. Fake fan of me.
Fake fan. Sorry. Anyway, but... The people didn't like it. Well, I mean, some people did. Like, this is sparked a whole discourse. Yeah. My reading of it, people are saying satire. I don't think this is the correct use of the word satire. I would say maybe irony. The word I believe is she's like she's referential is great. She's referencing these old misogynistic depictions of women, but like it is intentionally showing her, to me, in a bit like she's going like, yeah, like she's calling herself a dog. But to me, it was like she was going, yeah, like I kind of let men treat me like the men I date treat me a bit shit. Mm-hmm. And haven't we all been, I feel like everyone who dates men, have we not all been there? Is that a high five?
No, that's just like a
preach.
I pledge solidarity.
But like that, to me, I was just like, that's like, to me, my reading of this was like, that's what the album's going to be about. It's about her allowing these men to treat her in a way that she does, like, less than she deserves, because she's in love, and when she likes someone, she lets them, and that's not a good thing. It's a self-aware thing, though. To me, like, it was I didn't think.
Yeah.
And the thing we're going to get into, as I was like, I don't think she's reinventing feminist critique.
No.
However, it was a pretty surface reading, and people saying, okay, the thing that pisses me off is I hate this take. Her music lacks the radicalism necessary to subvert the image she employs. I hate it because, for one thing, I don't think it needs that much radicalism, because it's a pretty...
That's true.
If that reading was a correct interpretation, which I'm not saying it is, but if it was, to me, I'm like, well, that's just that. That's not like a particularly radical piece. It doesn't require particular radicalism. Another reason it pisses me off, the album's not out yet. Yeah. You don't know what the radicalism is going to be in the art.
Looking back at this now, like looking back at the album, what I'm actually seeing more than just like the kind of sexual nature of it. What's interesting about like the way that it's like the bright flash behind her and the way that she's looking at the camera, it's almost like a caught in the act kind of like
oh
kind of
yes.
and I think what I'm interested to kind of see with Man's Best Friend, again, the album isn't out, it might also be, it's about her sexuality, but I think it also says a lot about like her publicity and the public nature of her sexuality. Like if you look at this
absolutely.
photo, it's about it's almost like she is in a sexually compromised, or she's in the middle of doing like a sexual, like she's about to suck his dick or something like that, and then the cameras have come in and like caught her.
Yes.
And it's about like I think she also might be saying now, and I kind of didn't think about, I've just thought about this now, but she's kind of almost been like, it's almost about like, oh hey, you're here.
Yeah.
Like us, like she's looking
to me
at
it's
us.
so pertinent that she looks right at the camera.
Yeah, she's looking at us, she's looking about how it's almost like she's looking at like how we're looking at her sexuality. And she's like, I've caught you, I see you, you're there. It's not just about like her sexuality. I think more and more Sabrina Carpenter is making comments about her publicity and her spot in the public eye. And I think that's just a general trend that's been happening across like the pop girlies, like Chappell Roan obviously, but also Renee Rapp, Leave Me Alone. That's a whole song
absolutely.
about fucking being in the public eye.
Leave me alone, bitch. Wanna have fun.
Fucking Girl So Confusing is...
Yeah. Oh, we were literally talking on the way here about how 15 minutes is like, it's a combination of like the spoof of like her sexuality and also like 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, I think that 15 minutes is going to be a theme that is going to, like that idea of like the intersection of her sexuality and her public image is going to be a really big theme of the album, Man's Best Friend. Because like the whole thing, Man's Best Friend, it's talking about maybe our perception of her as man's best friend.
Because I mean, especially because considering she is like the short and sweet, obviously she became huge. I would say the thing that really, like, after Espresso had been released, like that, like she was already very much a big artist, but this took her to like one of the biggest artists in the world kind of status.
And like really, like, it's interesting, it's really fast considering how long she's been in the industry.
Yes.
Like, she's like best new artist. She's not new.
Like when you look at, I guess the difference in what the performance of the short and sweet tour versus Emails I Can't Send tour, like Emails I Can't Send, there's beautiful staging, but it's just her like dancing around on the staging, singing the song. But short and sweet, there's like, you know, choreography and like moving parts like and costume changes and backup dancers. There's a whole production, on place. It's like, and it shows, and I think a lot of us, like, I think you're actually 100% right with like the voyeurism.
I'm always right, guys.
Now, at this point, I want to say, the other thing I wanted to mention was that while we're talking about my own reading of this, we were talking about how she looks right at the camera. When you look at actual misogynistic imagery, women don't look at the camera. Women are rare to have faces. There's this whole thing that I wrote an essay on when I was in film studies about film posters, like the trope of film posters where there'll be like a woman's leg in the poster but no face. Do you kind of, I feel like you can probably have a few in mind when you think about that kind of trope. To me, it's super relevant. Not only her face is in the camera, she's looking at the camera. The man is faceless, and it's still like centered on her, even if she is doing something that like people might consider degrading. It's still like
she's looking at you. Is that kind of? it's almost that kind of, it's like the assertion of dominance and control.
Exactly.
Which brings me really well into...
So we're going to get into some of your...
academic
theory. Tell me.
So the thing about, like, whether or not she's being, like, sexually... If she's being, like, she's too promiscuous, she's, like, selling her body to, like, it's like, she's catering to, like, the patriarchal mindset, or she's, like, she's in control of her sexuality. This is not new. This has been a debate that has been happening for fucking ages. This is a debate that's been kind of conceptually been going on since the 80s, but the idea of just generally being a bad feminist, I fear, has been around since the dawn of feminism as a concept.
100% agree.
So basically, this debate is just another manifestation of, like, the anti-porn versus, like, sexual positive feminist debate. So you've got the anti-porn feminists who think that, like, porn and the sexualization of women is regressive and controls women's bodies, and then you've got the sex positive feminists that say that, like, you have to, like, women should be in control of their sexuality. Sex is fun.
I would say it also intersects quite a lot with choice feminism as well.
Yes, it's a debate over, like, a central tenet of, like, that women's sexuality is marked by a persistent tension between pleasure on the one hand and danger on the other. It's like sexualization is fun because sex is fun, but on the other hand, sexualization is dangerous because it leads to men taking advantage. It is all about it is all about control and agency. Shout out to Phillips 2022.
Do you have a full name of this person?
I think it's like Emma Phillips.
Oh, lady.
She's actually Australian.
Why did I assume it was a man? That's so bad. I think because I heard Philip.
Yeah, well, her last name is Phillips. Yeah. And she's from UTS. So if anyone went to UTS and knows Emma Phillips, shout out to her.
Is she, like, our age?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I actually don't know much about her, but this
is her feminist theory that you're about to cite.
This is based off a thesis that I read from her, based off a Sydney Morning Herald article referenced her, so I went and did research on, like, what her writing was, and she had this whole thing about feminist theory that I really liked, and I took a lot from, so... Shout out Emma Phillips.
Shout out Emma Phillips.
Okay, so she had these really good descriptions of, like, the anti-porn movement versus, like, the pro-sex movement. So, like, the anti-porn movement is basically this, I'll quote her, many mainstream feminists assert that in a patriarchal society where power rests with men, women are unable to express their sexuality without it constituting a violence against them and an automatic submission to patriarchal ideas. It holds that sexual exploration is dangerous for women and women's sexuality is necessarily informed by the risk of rape and assault that men pose. It's basically saying you can't anytime you assert your sexuality, you're kind of playing into the sexualization of women, and that turns into, like, men sexualizing women, which turns into rape. Okay, so in contrast, like, describing, like, Phillips describes the pro-sex movement, she says, like, a focus on sexual patriarchal oppression unwittingly increases the sexual terror and despair in which women live. So it's basically, if you focus on how, like, men are going to take advantage of women's bodies and everything leads to rape and assault and stuff, that's not fun. And what does it do?
Yeah.
And it's just everyone's living, all women just have to be scared of rape all the time. So sex-positive proponents and many sexuality researchers have, in response, proposed a discourse whose framework positions women's sexuality in terms of a positive right to self-expression. At stake here is female sexual agency and its scope within patriarchal structures. So this is a debate about agency and control. It's a question of, is it possible to have sexual agency in a patriarchal society? And especially, is it possible to have sexual agency in such an extremely hypersexualized industry such as the music industry? Can Sabrina assert her sexual agency and her love of sex? Sabrina loves sex. It's obvious. Can she assert that as part of her personality, of something that's true about her, without it being just an affront to feminism? Is it possible that she can do this without being just like, oh, she's just doing it for men and the male gaze?
Was it possible she can do it in a way that is empowering and not demeaning?
Yeah.
And I don't know. So I'd be actually interested. Where do you stand on that?
I'm pro-sex.
That's. I don't know why I asked you.
I'm pro-sex, and, like, I'm anti the anti-porn movement. Let's say that. Yeah, I think that I have reasons for this, and I have reasons for this that have to do with this specific scenario that I will talk about.
Absolutely.
But just generally, my point is, I think that, like, the anti-porn movement doesn't... It keeps us stagnant. I don't think it gets us anywhere productive for women. It's just... I think it's just another kind of, like another realization of the control over women's bodies and the continuous, like, analysis and repression of, I think it's just another way of just looking at women too hard and not looking at
it
men.
also does turn very quickly into like puritanical views as well,
exactly.
Which is a whole thing.
It's too close to Puritanism. It's too close to Puritanism. It's too close to control. Just let women be women, and we can figure out the rest later. So
you're very much
I'm of the idea that women women in the music industry, because it is a very hypersexualized industry, I think they do have power to assert their sexuality. I think there is something to be said that Sabrina Capenter does have has a history of a younger audience, which can be problematic, and I do think that maybe she could have some songs that aren't about men, because literally all of her song is about men in some way, and I think that she could
have some other feelings.
Have songs about different things, and I think that would be a positive way for her to grow as an artist, is to have songs like, I'm not saying she can't talk about sex at all. I think she could have songs that aren't about men and that aren't centering men, and have songs that are about her friendships, or just have a song that's just about her fame and her place in the industry, that's not about, because if you think about her, it's like 15 minutes, it's about her fame. It's also hidden in her talking about a man.
Yeah, that's what I thought was like the whole like playfulness about that song, was that it's about, like, on the surface it seems like it's another song, but she's like I don't know, to me it was kind of how, like, making fun of this new persona that she's kind of created for herself within
and I think that's very smart, and I think it's a good idea, but I'm just saying, I'm not, like, I think the anti-Sabrina being sexual movement wants to stop Sabrina from doing stuff. I'm the opposite. Sabrina, make more music, and in making more music, have the sexy stuff, then have a song that's not about a man.
You think a bit of both? See, okay, so I would say I agree with everything Porque no los dos.
Yeah. You don't have to stop being sexy. Just make a song that's like, girl, so confusing. That's
you think a bit of...
I
would... Okay, so where I kind of stand on this, since you didn't ask.
What do you think about this, Emily?
I agree.
Okay.
But also I think that... Oh, God. Voice breaking. I do think both sides, there are useful things to take from both sides, and also things that are, I think, silly on both sides. I think nuance. I think unfortunately, because my kind of whole feminist theory is like, especially when we're talking about like porn, I absolutely understand.
Oh no, I'm saying I absolutely like agree that like the porn industry is
exploitative.
It's fucked.
Yes, but it's also like, I think it's super important that when we talk about like, I mean, not that that's not, I'm not saying this is not what you were saying, but it's kind of my whole take where I'm like, the sex work industry can be incredibly exploitative. The people I will always defend, and the people who I think should not receive any of the hate or any of the backlash for the problems, is the sex workers themselves. I'm very pro sex workers. I'm not sure how I feel about sex work as a whole. Do I think it should be... I think sex workers should never be held responsible for that, though. Because they're just doing... Like, if anything, they are... The worst thing they could be is, like, the victims, right? To me, they're not perpetrators of this in any way. They are either doing it in an empowering way, or they're victims. Or somewhere in between, which is what it really is.
I think, my whole problem with, like, the anti-woman as, like, women self-sexualizing is, I think, just with any kind of thing that's, like, criticizing, like any kind of bad feminist critique, is spending too much time looking at women and not enough time looking
Absolutely
at men.
Agree. 100% agree.
Like, okay, if you're a bad feminist, you're a bad fucking feminist. If you're a bad man, you're like a rapist.
Exactly. Like, if you're a bad feminist, or if you do feminism in a way that's like slightly detrimental, the damage that you do is so much less than the damage that like a rapist is doing.
It doesn't do anything. Criticizing women and bringing down women doesn't do anything for the feminist movement. It just brings down women and silences women. So like, let's just critique men instead, I feel.
Let's only critique men forever.
Yeah.
There are definitely some women who need to be... I'd say we need to critique... if we're critiquing people, we need to critique them for actual active detrimental actions rather than them existing and those potential...
fucking J.K.
Rowling is what I was going to say. Fuck J.K. Rowling. I think we need to focus more on criticizing active detrimental actions rather than someone simply existing and that potentially having a negative impact on the world. And that is on period. following on, I called this section the shame of bottomhood, okay. Which is probably not the correct term. Really, it's more of a sub.
The shame of being submissive?
Subdom.
The shame of being a sub.
This TikTok is what kind of made me think of this. I don't know, did you see this one?
No.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so it's one image. Boop. It's two pictures. Beautiful. It goes, hey Sabrina, this is how you could have represented your album cover. And then there's a bunch of stock photos and photo shoots of a woman, like, kind of, it's literally like the other way around is what I would say. Yeah. It's a woman kind of leading a man like he's a dog. And then it goes, instead of a cover that is similar to these sexist posters made in the 20th century, and then has all these posters that we were referencing, that she is referencing. I hated this. This one made me so mad for so many reasons.
That's not the point of the cover.
Absolutely. And the thing that also gets me is it's like...
It ruins the conversation.
The whole meaning is lost if she did that. It's a whole different meaning. I mean, I think in many ways she's, with her pin-up aesthetic that she's going to go for, she is referencing kind of those things, but it is very much her own... It's her own, like, cheeky, like, tongue-in-cheek kind of take on it.
There's a part of, like, Sabrina's, like, constant referencing of, like, 1950s, 1960s dynamics. There's a little bit in there of, like, how far have we really come from here.
Yes. The thing that also annoyed me is, if we take this as another angle that some people have viewed this as, which this is a view I don't particularly disagree with, is that it's a display of, like, kink culture, specifically, like, sub-dom stuff, which I don't necessarily disagree with. Like, I think there can be multiple meanings to an art form. It's the idea that of certain sexuality being permissible, or certain expressions of sexuality being feminist or unfeminist. And if we look at this one, it's like the idea, if you're dominant in the bedroom, for example, let's talk about heterosexuality, right? Because there is there is a lot of complexity in being a woman who is romantically and sexually interested in men, especially people who are, like, heterosexual women. But I'd say for, like, people who are, like, bisexual, pansexual, like ourselves, there is also a lot of complexity in how you feel, especially as, like, feminists, how we feel about our own sexuality, because you are in many ways, like, feeling like you're playing into it by dating a man. But even though that's not fair,
let me say, as a gender non-conforming person, that's another layer of complication.
Oh, that's a whole other layer. Oh my god. But the idea that only certain forms of female sexuality are valid or pro-feminist and others aren't. I don't want to be like, oh, the straights have it so hard, but I do think this is particular because she is heterosexual. If this was two women, no one would bat an eye. And I as a queer person, I am not saying the straights have it hard, okay? But I do think she would not receive this backlash if she was a lesbian, for example. Or if that was a woman.
That would be because the whole thing...
would then lose its meaning, yeah.
No, but also then it wouldn't be centering men, and then the whole thing goes out the window.
But it's this whole thing about, like, is she always centered on men, or is she centered on romance? If someone is a very romantic central person, or sexual centered person, and you are a heterosexual woman, it is unavoidable in centering men. And what do we think about that? It's this idea that if you are a woman who only dates men, or only has sex with men, you have to be this, like, dominant, like, girl boss type. And if you are someone who, like, Sabrina, like, represents herself as more like a submissive person who is into things like having their hair pulled, for example, that is inherently bad and inherently demeaning of yourself and inherently anti-feminist. Yeah. That is the thing that I kind of found. And then this was a quote that I found. Carpenter on all fours rubs against the prevailing rhetoric of female sexual empowerment. Be on top, have sex like a man, call the shots, fuck, not be fucked. Dominance is the only acceptable mode, submission for sexual pleasure as inherent weakness. To be submissive and strong at once is to break some brains. The idiosyncrasies and confidence of one woman's sexual performance inflaming the chronic poster's allergy to fun, as well as the internet's incentive for black and white thinking. That is kind of, I thought, was quite...
I think it goes into a really interesting dynamic of, like, dominance and submission and, like, just, like, it's not BDSM, because it's not intense, but, like BDSM... It
is on the spectrum.
It's on the spectrum of BDSM, but I think BDSM is, like...
But I would say, like, I mean, the sexual act of itself, of, like, being particularly submissive in a sexual context and having your hair pulled is on the spectrum of kink.
Yeah.
Kink play.
I think that when people think of women being, or not just women, anyone being submissive, I don't think, like, when people position submissive as being submissive as not having power or not having control, I think they've never actually been in a healthy submissive subdom
relationships. Yeah, I would agree.
Being the dominant in a sexual scenario, it's much less. It's not. I wouldn't say it's much less control, but like the sub has more control and more agency and more power to shape the sexual scenario than people realize. Because being a dominant person is about being like totally in tune to what the submissive wants.
Yes.
In a way. Being the dominant in a sexual scenario is about having like responsibility and like looking and watching and taking care. And in that position, the submissive kind of has the power in a weird kind of way.
It kind of leads a lot back to, like, I remember when, like, 50 Shades of Grey came out, and a lot of people who were in, like, the kink community were really upset that it's a very toxic, it was the most mainstream representation of BDSM and kink culture, and it was such a bad representation of it.
It is.
Yeah. I've, like, read, like, things that people were talking about, you know, it's so important in those contexts to have open communication, and like, there is a very healthy way to do it, and I think a lot of people assume, especially when it's a woman in the submissive position, that there cannot be a healthy way to do that. And I would disagree.
Me too.
Is what I would say. But that's kind of a little bit an angle of this I wanted to talk about, is that I do think, I mean, as we can see, like, I mean, this other comment says, I think if it was either a guy on his knees or a more feminine presenting hand holding the hair, it would have been more for the girlies or an irony satire vibe. No, again, no. That's a bad take. Anyway, I wanted to go more kind of leaning more to this about this whole thing about the male gaze, because there's another angle of people critiquing it will say that she is playing into the male gaze by doing this. That is comment says people will swear up and down that Sabrina's content isn't for the male gaze.
No,
like,
so
are y'all for real right now?
It's obviously catered to straight men. I don't know what male gaze are looking this and.
That's funny. Gaze with a Y.
Yeah, gaze with a Z. Sorry, I interrupted you. I just wanted to make that joke so bad.
No, it was perfect. Well, this is another thing that I really don't like. Some people are saying, like, oh, she's playing into the male gaze. So there is more nuance behind what I realized. I wrote this and then you wrote underneath, Emily, that's not correct. I'm like, let me explain.
Yeah.
But I hate when people say, this is for the male gaze, and so it's therefore bad. Because, for one thing, this becomes such a trend of people pointing at real human women and being like, male gaze, which, as someone who has an arts degree in film studies, the male gaze is generally used from a cinematic perspective or an art perspective, where it absolutely can be applied to real life generally, but it's specifically on a man's perspective being used to portray women. Women as, real women, human beings cannot be male gaze. I'm sorry that people think that...
Well, okay. I will disagree with that in the fact that, like, it's used for art. The album cover is art.
Absolutely. But people will say, like, that she... I guess her performance is also art that's put on. But I would say that we are under the impression that she is of a certain level of power in how her public image is portrayed. That she has a say in, like, at least some sort of creative direction, that it's not all being controlled by a man. It depends who we take as the auteur of Sabrina Carpenter's work. If we take her as the creator, I
think she has a lot of creative control.
Well, that's very much the impression I get, is that she is the artist, right? It can't really be male gaze if the artist and the art is the same person, especially if that person is a woman. It could be something else, but it can't really be, because male gaze is the idea of it's like a male director filming a woman in a specific way. You're not sure about that one?
I'm not sure about that one.
I just think that a lot of people use it specifically to demean the women who are being gazed at, and in that, which I think is really unfair. To me, it gives a similar vibe to when people say queer baiting, but about real people. Because you're using a media analysis term to apply to a real human being. And I don't think that's...
I would say, on the terms of, like, the media analysis applied to a real human being, you've only seen Sabrina Capenter in real life at Taylor Swift's concert, right? I've never seen Sabrina Capenter in real life. The only ways I see Sabrina Capenter are through media. Yeah. So, in that sense, I'm always seeing her as a piece of produced art.
That's a great, that is a great point.
You could argue social media is art, and that it is a curated production. So in that sense, you can
okay.
apply the male gaze kind of idea to her.
What I would then say again is that nuance is not expressed when people critique women for being male gaze either.
Yeah.
Because if you are to take it as someone is being portrayed, like someone's art is being portrayed for the male gaze, that then takes away their agency in that. And if you're taking away if it was, you were taking away Sabrina in this case's agency, but if her agency is removed, then she cannot be the one to be critiqued, I would say.
I'm of the opinion that like the whole concept of the male gaze, because of this idea that like everything we see now is like
media.
Is media. I think the idea of the male gaze and the idea of gaze, I think as a concept we use to like analyze feminism, is becoming more and more out of date and more like not able.
That's a great point.
Not able to be productively used, because like, first of all, everything's for the male gaze. We have a patriarchal society.
Insert that quote from Margaret Atwood. Have you read that one?
Which one are you referring to?
The male gaze one. This is the male gaze Margaret Atwood quote. Male fantasies is everything run by male fantasies. Up on a pedestal or down on your knees, it's all a male fantasy. That you're strong enough to take what they dish out, or else too weak to do anything about it. Even pretending you aren't catering to male fantasies is a male fantasy. Pretending you're unseen, pretending you have a life of your own, that you can wash your feet and comb your hair unconscious of the ever-present watcher peering through the keyhole in your own head, if nowhere else. You are a woman with a man inside watching a woman. You are your own voyeur.
That's on period.
And that is on period.
We are constantly being watched.
Mm-hmm.
We are being watched. I say we, I don't mean women. I mean everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone is being watched all of the time. That is in part because of the male gaze and the patriarchal society that we're in, that we have to cater to like traditional ideals of like what is a man, what is a woman. It's also because of just a general just capitalism thing of like we are watching ourselves to edit ourselves to better fit into like this a productive society where you can be a productive member of like to say that like someone is catering to the male, we're all catering to the male gaze all of the time. You can't, there is no such thing, controversial but grave, there's no such thing as the female gaze, because if the female gaze,
as a female gay, I take that back.
There's no such thing as the female gaze, because like Margaret Atwood says, the female gaze is a reaction against the male gaze.
Yeah.
That in itself, it is born out of the male gaze and the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And it cannot be separated, therefore it is not a distinct thing. The female gaze doesn't exist as a concept. And if there is nothing to like play the male gaze against, like if you can't like oppose like, oh, instead of playing to the male gaze you should do this, if there's no this, what's the fucking point?
What is the point?
What's the point of saying, oh, she's playing to the male gaze? Who does it help? How is she supposed to not play into the male gaze? She is a female, she has a female body. Therein so, she will be looked at by men.
Yeah. She exists in the world. The world has men.
She exists in the world. She and every other woman is being looked at by men. I dropped your ring.
You did. I could hear it on my microphone.
Yeah, I'm just...
You're gassed up. This is the thing, is that I would say the thing that also, this is kind of the main point of this though, but that was actually what we said was the main point, but this is, I guess now is more of an aside. But it's hard to say that she intentionally plays to the male gaze because her target audience isn't men, or the audience that is most obviously attracted to her, the content that she's making, isn't men. So like this is the kind of thing I wrote. Her fans, there obviously are lots of male fans as well.
Yeah, and like Sabrina Carpenter's a baddie.
And she is a baddie.
I'm attracted to Sabrina Carpenter.
That's a controversial yet brave take.
I am attracted. I think Sabrina Carpenter is really sexy.
Liked it when she kissed Jenna Ortega.
I thought that was a little bit like, okay, girl.
But she looks like she kisses really nice.
Yeah. But
anyway, but the thing is, pop. She makes her product in its like rawest form is pop music. The target demographic, the principal core demographic of pop music is not heterosexual men. Obviously there are heterosexual men to this, but it's like in the same way that like football games, the target demographic isn't women.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, you can say that there can be a target demographic and like, if we took a survey of every person who said, I am a Sabrina Carpenter fan ever, or currently would describe themselves as a Sabrina Carpenter fan, overwhelmingly the majority would be women, and the majority of the men would probably be queer men.
Yeah.
I would assume. And I think that's a safe assumption to make.
I think this is a good kind of point in our discussion because I fear we will be veering to pro Sabrina. I want to bring it back a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll go to the counter argument. But
I want to introduce the first of the counter arguments that I've seen and that come up is like the media literacy argument. The idea that there are a lot of people, Americans, who are going to see this artwork and not see it with the nuance and kind of feminist perspective that maybe we see it as.
Yes.
There will be, I was talking to some of my friends about it, and that, there are going to be young boys out there, men, who see this and go, be like, fuck yeah!
Fuck yeah!
And that's a reality. And unfortunately, we're not at a place where we can have complicated, especially in America, they're not at a place where they can have complicated discussions about, clearly, they're not at a place where they can have complicated discussions about feminism.
To which I'd say, but do we have to cater to the lowest common denominator?
No, I'm just saying that it is a reality.
I would say, like, we are two people.
We're two reasonably intelligent people.
But we also, I would say, both have media degrees from a global top university. Based on that metric, I don't know about me. I would say you definitely have well above average media literacy.
I think you have pretty
fantastic
media literacy.
I am okay. Sometimes I definitely miss things, but I would say generally, like, we think about these things more than we at least think about things in a deeper level than I would say, like, media.
The plebs.
The fucking plebs. I feel like, is that I would consider myself,
I have a better idea
from a top, like,
media.
20 universities. Like, I feel like analyzing media is a skill that we both possess.
Yeah.
And we have a really expensive piece of paper to show for it.
We have paid a lot of money to build those skills.
Yes.
So it's okay to say that we have them.
It's okay. Because I know people get annoyed when they're like, what do you mean you think? Like, formal education is not the only form of education. However, we do have a formal education in it. Mm-hmm. So we have an education in it.
Yeah.
Should we get into some more of these? So this was, I guess, one video. I think you did watch this one, didn't you? This is a creator that I do follow. And when she was, like, posting against it, I was kind of like, interesting.
If I were being a hater, I'd say we are way too worried about whether the album cover is satirical or earnest or empowering or feminist or degrading, and not worried enough about whether or not it's embarrassing. About whether or not it's boring and cringe, cause it is. What former Disney Channel star desperately tries to create controversy by throwing every shocking, sexualized image she can at the wall like artistically incoherent spaghetti? And florals in spring? Remember how we all cringed when JoJo Siwa tried to tell us she invented gay pop? That is the same cringe I get when I see teenage fans of Sabrina Carpenter trying to insist she invented being straight and horny. Oh, it's subversive because she sings about sleeping with men, but also sings about how men are stupid. She says men are terrible, but also makes herself sexually attractive to them and sells the fantasy to women of being sexually attractive to men, but also sings about how men are dumb and stupid. Is this your first day in heterosexuality? That's standard issue, babe. It's included with the service. Sabrina Carpenter's new album is not going to set women back 50 years. It's also not a piece of empowering feminist subversive art. What it is more than anything is embarrassing. That she's so loud, so willing to be so audacious for attention, to get eyeballs, to get people to listen to her music, and then when it comes time to say something, has nothing to say. When Rolling Stone comes and says, hey, want to talk about your art? She has absolutely nothing to say.
I disagree strongly with this.
There are definitely some bits I do agree with.
There are some bits I do, but like generally her point, I disagree strongly.
So I agree with a lot of her points I do actually agree with. Like how there is a bit of nuance. So is it the most radical thing ever? No, but it's definitely not going to set feminism back 50 years.
Like we had this at the beginning of the thing. It's like, it's Fork Found in Kitchen. She's not doing anything like particularly groundbreaking in terms of like the feminist movement as a whole. But I also think I'm very passionate about this. I think this I've been seeing a lot of people, not just this person, but like a lot of people saying like, why are we so up in arms about the Sabrina Carpenter? It doesn't matter. Go touch grass. Okay.
Welcome to media discourse.
First of all, welcome to media discourse.
We're so happy to have you.
I had a shit ton of fun researching for this episode. So can't I just analyze something that I enjoy
I have
analyzing?
touched grass before.
I have touched grass many a time. And I feel like just because something is mainstream or popular or is Sabrina Carpenter doesn't mean we can't talk about it. And hey, I think we get something out of talking about it, and it's fun, and it's two female-bodied people sitting in a room having a discussion and making media.
And
that's one for the movement.
Always feminist.
Yeah. So, like, why are you fucking crushing my joy right now? Why are you crushing my feminist literary analyst dreams right now by calling it embarrassing? Also, it's not embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be hot.
My interpretation of the video was that she is making the claim that, like, she feels like a lot of... Or that Sabrina's trying to, like, come off as if she's invented a lot of these... Which I don't necessarily think is true. I don't think she's claiming to have invented any discussions. I don't think... Is anyone really claiming that she's invented a lot of, like...
No, I think she just has an experience and she's sharing.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think it's also embarrassing because it's like the whole replay of the Disney Channel star trying to be like edgy, which I think
she's just generally doing what she wants to do. And maybe she can be Sabrina Carpenter can be cringe sometimes. What the fuck is wrong with
something I would agree with is, and this is kind of something, is it like doing the thing where she's like, let me try and be controversial, I guess, in a safe controversy.
Yeah, she's definitely like there is
for engagement, and that she's doing that.
She's doing that. She is engineering controversy to sell the album.
Yeah,
and that sucks. And she's definitely like, she's not a feminist icon. She is not doing it. Her music is pop music.
This is not the second coming of Simone de Beauvoir.
No, she is not like. She's not doing anything particularly groundbreaking. This is just a pop star being a pop star. But it's fun to talk about. I'm having a whale of a time.
Here's my very SJW opinion on Sabrina Carpenter's album cover. I do not think any display of cis heterosexuality is really enticing at all in the year 2025. I want to see two trans guys and then roll around in a circle with they're in a circle like the snake that eats its own tail, and they're both
anyway, it goes on like
rolling around,
which I think fair enough. Like, if you don't want to see straight content anymore, I think the bit was just like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, there's more important things to think about and ask.
Like Kim Kardashian's nipple piercing.
Fashion just faking it.
Sorry, that's a whole other thing.
It's nipple piercing.
Oh my god, that's like a whole other thing. I think that like,
I want to talk about like a bit of a bigger picture, because this is kind of something this I feel like happens time and time again, where they're instead of, finding a root of the problem, we like point at the nearest woman and go, bad feminist.
Yeah.
Naughty. Like, another key example, Marilyn Monroe, right? She was very much, in her time, hailed as, like, bringing women down by being too sexy and a what was it, like an air vent blowing up her skirt?
Yeah, like pandering to
him, yeah. And I mean, again, she also did in a very tongue-in-cheek way. Like, if we have, like, gentlemen prefer blondes, that sounds like very much like that kind of thing. But, like, that whole film was like about kind of taking the piss on that.
Like putting down brunettes, even though brunettes are cool.
You've been many things in your life, many things, but it's I don't know if you've seen that film.
I haven't. No.
See, I have. But a lot, like, the point of the film is kind of mocking. It's actually very similar in the way that it's like taking the mick on misogynistic men a lot of the time, and it's about. Like, it's actually very Sabrina Carpenter in its level of, like, which is ironic because this was from the 50s, this film.
Yeah, I think what's fun about talking about Sabrina Carpenter is because, like, I think there is depth here, and I think there is nuance here, and it's fun to talk about. Sabrina Carpenter, she's got a lot of depth, and I think that's what personally makes this whole conversation more interesting and more exciting for me to talk about. I think Sabrina Carpenter is actually doing, like, a lot of interesting stuff with her music and with her brand as a whole, like, thinking about, like, what is Sabrina Carpenter? Who is she? What is her brand? What is her public image? Sabrina Carpenter is about like building a fantasy.
Yes.
Right. She's in her music. Like we said, we get the impression that she has a lot of creative control. I think because there's a lot of consistency in her brand, and you can see how she kind of developed this idea. There's also a lot of
fantasy
over time.
Layers to the art, right? So these days, music is not just the art of the music is not just the music, because there's also
an aesthetic around.
There's the aesthetic. There's the visual aesthetic of the album. There's the music videos. There's the stage production when you're putting on the actual show. Yeah. There's what you wear to red carpets during this quote unquote era.
Yeah.
The things you put on the Instagram, everything is part of this overall art piece.
It's a package. It's not just music. It's a package. It's an experience, and I think that's there's a very strong sense that like Sabrina Carpenter is building a world.
And someone like there's a lot of, and to be a main pop girlie in many ways, it's something really like
Sabrina Carpenter. She's so referential, right?
Yes.
She's referential for movies and pop culture, but she especially like kind of I feel like Hollywood culture. Like she references Marilyn Monroe, and it's very 60s kind of like Hollywood glam, I think, and like a little bit of in there. I don't know if you agree with that or you would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything is exaggerated. Everything is a joke and a reference, which makes her so interesting to look at and to think about and talk about, even just in a personal level. Like I love thinking about like, oh, what does this joke mean and what are the layers? Because there's always.
Have you ever tried this one?
Have you ever tried listening to Sabrina Carpenter's music and thinking about it in a nuanced and layered way? No. I just think she's sexy. I made this point at the beginning, and like, this is why I like her music. When you listen to her music, you're pulled into this Hollywood narrative. You're pulled into the world, into the fantasy. And like when I listen to Sabrina, or when I listen to Sabrina Carpenter's music, most of the time I'm not looking at Sabrina. Sometimes I'm a whore. But
what are you looking at?
Like I'm not looking at Sabrina Carpenter. I am Sabrina.
Oh, okay.
I'm experiencing her body and her sex appeal. She like puts you in her shoes.
I was like you're looking at like the background.
No. I'm not looking at her. I'm not.
You're becoming her in a way.
It's like a very like.
Okay. Yes.
Thing. Also, as a tangent. And a lot of the references, she's referencing other artists.
Yeah.
Other female artists. Mm-hmm. She's elevating women's voices. She wore Fran Drescher's coat dressed with the fur to Colbert. She sings with Christina Aguilera and Dolly Parton is part of the fantasy. Mm-hmm. She wore Madonna's dress to the Oscars. She's elevating other artists. She's building this kind of sisterhood. And that's part of, I feel like that's constructive. That's building this idea of
good feminist
collaboration with women and pulling women in and honoring women and celebrating strong women in the music industry. I think is something that Sabrina Carpenter does really well. I read this Vulture article that I really, really liked about like who Sabrina Carpenter is and like how she constructs her image and like and talking about specifically this thing where the whole criticism of Sabrina Carpenter is she centers men and it's all about her music's all about men, and part of that I was like, yeah, that sucks, but I have trouble with men too.
To me, it truly, I feel like the criticism of it centers men. It's not the problem. To me, she's not centering men. Yeah. She's centering romance and sexuality.
Yeah.
Which
I also center romance and sexuality.
And it just happens for her. She is a woman and she is interested in men. Straight men, for example. All men. Straight men, queer men, all men. And queer women do not get this same criticism. Because there is inherently a complex nature of being a woman who is interested in men while also being a feminist. There's inherently incredibly complex. And that's why there's like things like a big part of like the 60s radical feminism movement was like the idea that there is no heterosexuality that is unoppressive. I don't necessarily agree with that. Yeah. But there's a reason they all like decided to try and build these like lesbian communes and like, well, because it's...
If you date men or are sexually interested men, you have to deal with this kind of like push and pull of like...
Yeah. It is inherently complicated. And I think reducing it to she centers men, I don't think is fair because... Romance we live in a very romance-centric world. Yeah. We live in a very sex-focused world. Is there any way to be heterosexual as a woman in a feminist way? It's like, it's inherently, there's a bit of complexity around it. And I think I want to give her a bit of grace and say like, is it that she centers men, or is it she just wants to be loved?
Yeah. So this is there's a really nice quote. There's a really nice quote in this Vulture article.
Hit me with it.
The ethos Carpenter most consistently gestures towards is the poignant and funny misery that can be attributed to dating men. She can wear lingerie on stage or get down on her knees on an album cover, but it doesn't change the content of what her songs are about. Carpenter's explorations of heartbreak and frustration exist alongside the performative sexuality. Sex has not saved her, but it hasn't condemned her either. As the singer put in her June 12th Rolling Stone profile, I'm doing the 25-year-old thing right now, whatever that means. End quote, Sabrina. That stage of young adulthood sits at a crossroads between a kind of societal awareness and youthful impulsion. Manchild is about choosing what's wrong for you again and again to a point of playful misery. I relate to this heavy, and I think
I'm
that's
shocked,
the point.
Zoe.
This kind of experience of picking the wrong thing is very relatable for many people, especially women, because men are generally incompetent. So it's that thing of like, men are hard, and dating is hard. Men are hard in many ways.
Men are hard.
That was intentional, but yeah, men are hard.
You just like men are hard.
That wasn't intentional, I swear. But like men in relationships, and they're hard, and I think there's like a thing of like, she's just expressing that, and it's a universal experience, and fuck if I can't relate to it.
Yeah, and I want to be clear for the men, the whataboutism, the whatabouters of the crowd. Obviously, there's a whole other side to this about men who are interested in women and the difficulties there, but we are not straight.
Not talking about men.
We're not talking. This is about us because we're not straight men and we don't have experience in that, so we have nothing to say on that.
Manchild is about, it's about being sexy, and it's about centering men, but it's also about being sad about it. And
it's about the fact that you have centered men and it sucks.
And like knowing that that's not what you should be doing, but like kind of doing it anyway. Like Sabrina has a duality of sexual fantasy and like tongue-in-cheek misery that serves her really well, and has served me personally. Like she tells you, like, this is the whole thing. I didn't really talk about this, but this is, I think, really one of the whole things why I really started to get into Sabrina Carpenter, especially last year when like some stuff happened that like really kind of maybe hurt my confidence a little bit and like knocked me down.
Shout out.
No, it's no one's fault. It's just like it's not. It's just a thing of like
it's
where
a few
I
people's
was.
fault. I could point at a few people whose fault it was.
It was just a thing of where I was in my life. Like it's Sabrina Carpenter's music. She tells you if even fucking Sabrina Carpenter, one of the most beautiful women I have ever seen, is cheated on, dates shitty men, finds dating hard, all this kind of stuff. Maybe it's got nothing to do with Sabrina Carpenter, and maybe it's got everything to do with like men and dating, and then in turn maybe like. Maybe me dating, like not being so successful in dating has nothing to do with me and has everything to do with dating.
Even though men. You are the common denominator, maybe that's just a coincidence.
But like,
no, I know. I'm
you
kidding.
know
Sorry.
what I mean? Like she takes the blame off woman in these scenarios
yes.
in a really like weird roundabout way. She makes me think like I can hold the fact that I can't get into a relationship and constantly find dumbass men who can't date me, and the fact that I'm devastatingly beautiful and attractive and a catch in every way. Like I can hold these two facts
like two balls, like two balls in one scrotum.
I can hold these two facts together, and they both can be true.
Yes.
Like the fact that I am not in a relationship is not a comment on my worth.
Absolutely.
Like, and I think it's like the fact that Sabrina Carpenter's not in a relationship, that doesn't. She's beautiful. She's attractive. She's incredibly
She's very
intelligent.
funny.
She's funny. She is a valuable human being, and she is not in a relationship. And it's like, so like her worth, and because she puts me in her shoes, and I become Sabrina Carpenter. My worth is not compromised by the fact that I'm not in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's
and your worth is not compromised by the fact that you have been treated poorly. That is not a representation of your worth either.
No. And like so yeah, in conclusion, I'm a baddie.
In conclusion,
like Carpenter.
Someone date Zoe.
No,
they're single. They're looking to mingle.
Yeah, but like
hit them up for a good time.
I'm also
preferably a long time.
Yeah, preferably long. I would like to be in a relationship, but I'm also good. You know, like it is what it is.
Zoe's so desperate for a relationship. Please, someone date them. Please. Call the number below. Call
Let's talk about the updates.
So on Wednesday, this week, this happened. She posted on Instagram an alternative chaste album cover saying, I signed some copies of Man's Best Friend for you guys, and here is a new alternative cover approved by God, available now on my website, with a white heart emoji. Yeah, so it's, again, this is very like referential of that like Marilyn era. I think it's still telling man's facing away. A man is facing away. We don't really see the man. She is not looking at the camera anymore though. But it's still that thing that you pointed out of where it's like the stark background with the bright flashlight. It looks like a public space.
It's the public space. It's the photography. It's again, and it's referencing a Marilyn Monroe photo. So it's a replication of Marilyn Monroe and her third husband, Arthur Miller.
A photo of them together. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's again this. It's all the whole thing about.
It's all literally
it's
everything
all
Sabrina
linked.
Carpenter does is referential.
Everything's linked. It's all coming together.
I mean, part of me is like, please, Sabrina Capenter, have an original thought. But
I would say like referentialism is very big these days.
it is, and like we need less Disney sequels. That's like my
You mean
opinion.
Disney live action remakes? Is
Yeah,
that
we need like less of that. So yeah.
On another
Sabrina
note,
Carpenter have an original thought, but
challenge
in like a really low key way that like I still love you, Pookie. So it's like in relation to like it's a replication of that photo. I did do a little bit of research about like Marilyn Monroe and Arthur Miller. It's like it was kind of this idea of like it was like the great American brain with the great American body kind of a thing.
Oof.
Yeah, because Arthur Miller was not seen as a particularly attractive man,
and Marilyn Monroe was not seen as a particularly intelligent woman.
Yeah. And
Wait,
like,
both probably unfair. I don't know what Arthur Miller looked like.
There was a discourse of like she's too good for him, she's too beautiful for him kind of thing.
What does he look like?
Well, it's like she went.
Oh,
yeah.
You know what? Actually, I was expecting worse. So truthfully,
But, like, I think her second husband was Joe DiMaggio.
But seeing the gremlins that baddies these days are walking out with, this is not that bad. But considering what people are walking out with these days.
I know, but like, look at that photo and tell me, like...
Look that he's not punching.
Yeah.
Well, you almost did. So here we are.
You can't put that in the episode, Emily. So yeah, I think there's this, I think she's playing with this reference to Marilyn Monroe and Arthur Miller. I think she's like playing on this like thing of like, she's too good for the men that she's with. Like she's playing on that idea that like Marilyn Monroe was like too beautiful for Arthur Miller. It's the same kind of thing. Yeah, so we have some responses to the cover change.
What's honestly baffling is that you reduce all the criticism to people being prude when so many women have explained clearly and thoughtfully why the image feels anti-feminist and glamorizes violence. This isn't about kink, it's about power, context and timing. Dismissing that as a moral panic is not just tone deaf, it's disrespectful.
So basically people, yeah.
I wanted to first say about this comment, the thing that we've kind of already touched on this, so I'll keep this comment brief, but it's like, it's about violence. There's nothing actually violent about the album cover, the original.
Yeah.
Having your hair, and this thing, it's not about kink, it's about violence. And I'm like, well, no. It's about, like, being submissive is not subjecting yourself to violence, or it shouldn't be.
I think in the way that it is referencing, as far as it is referencing kind of these 1950s photos that have a bit of undertone of violence in them. That is as far as it goes in representing. I feel uncomfortable to say that because it does reference this thing, it doesn't kind of imply some level of violence. I'm just we've spent this whole podcast talking about how it doesn't. It
does not inherently.
It's got layers and it's got duality to it.
Yeah.
So,
there's a lot of comments saying like mistaking feminist criticism as religious fundamentalism. Do you lack critical thinking?
I think it's just like all these comments are coming from like the anti-porn perspective, which we I feel like have just had a pretty good fun time talking against. So
yeah, and so you kind of compared this to some other examples of censored versions of album covers. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so like these people are critiquing her positioning of the cover change as a reaction to Puritanism, when the criticism is that she's like
anti-feminist.
She's anti-feminist. Like I think this is bullshit because I think that like the anti-porn debate and the Puritanism debate are too close. Let's look at some other instances of like female pop singers changing their covers after backlash. So, like, we've got, like, the censorship of Lady Gaga's Art Pop album cover. There. So the cover, this is a quote from Sydney Morning Herald. The cover of the album features a Jeff Koons statue of the naked singer covering her breasts with her hands with genitals hidden behind a blue orb. However, for the Chinese release of the album, the orb was enlarged to cover the artist's breasts and leggings were photoshopped on her legs. And then we have this other album cover from Christina Aguilera. And another quote from the Herald. The Saudi cover for Christina Aguilera's 2002 album, Stripped, which originally showed an image of the singer in jeans with her hair covering her breasts, was altered to show the singer in a long skirt and a black shirt. Some may argue that the censorship was for a different purpose. So you can say that, like, this stuff was, like, puritanical censorship and Sabrina's was, like, anti-feminist censorship.
The result is still the same.
The result is the same, I fear. Like,
yes.
Like, and so this is my whole argument against, like, the anti-porn and, like, the anti-porn feminist argument when it's applied to this kind of circumstances. There is a place for that argument, and it is within strongly, not always, but strongly based in the porn industry and the sex work industry.
Yeah,
because
I think there is a lot of nuance to feminist critiques of porn. Yeah. But I think it is misplaced in this context.
Yeah. Since when does feminist thinking and conservative patriarchal thinking lead to the same outcome?
That's actually so real. It's
Since
very
when does that
real.
happen? And if it does, or just to say it another way, if feminism results in the same action as the patriarchy, which is like the alteration of an album cover, the alteration of a woman's artistic
like
art, what is the fucking point of feminism? What's the point?
I feel like, although it is a form of censorship, she is still doing it in a way to keep some of that power. Because for one thing, it's an alternative album cover. And, well, this is going to come into the final bit. It is an alternative album cover. The original will still exist. It will still be available.
You have to buy 2 albums.
Yep, that's what we're going to come to. But also she has that tongue-in-cheek kind of way of going, like, approved by God. Like, she's kind of making fun of the people who criticized her while appeasing them. Like, she kind of has that, like, gets her, like, lick back at the end, you know?
She gets, like, the final kind of laugh.
She gets the last laugh. Yeah.
She has control over this. She's not being forced to this. Like, this is my argument against the anti-porn movement in this specific context. I think it is enacted the same, like, people want the same kind of change that the patriarchy would enact, and they want the same kind of control and over-analysis and overlooking at women's bodies. Like, maybe we should just let women have agency to make decisions about how their bodies are used and how their bodies are portrayed. I think that she has we
don't know for sure, however, I think we have to, but I will come back to my earlier point. If we are going to go in with the assumption that this isn't her choice, then we can't attack her for it.
Yeah, good, fantastic point.
Like, if we're going to say that it's showing her in a degree, like, you can't claim that that she is doing this because she is a victim of the patriarchy and she's degrading herself because of the patriarchy, and then also blame her for her actions. Like, she can't be both the oppressor and the victim.
Yeah, like, either she is in control, or she's not. And so what do you want her to do?
So yeah, who are we having a go at, really, at the end of the day?
We just have to keep going. Like, stop going at men.
Stop attacking
women.
Stop attacking women for not being perfect feminists, and instead we need to attack people who are actively making feminism more difficult, like J.K. Rowling, for example.
Or let's stop attacking women. Donald Trump.
Fuck
Trump.
Elon Musk. The list goes on.
Donald Trump.
And this kind of the whole thing of, like, the lick back she gets again will lean back into a final section called Capitalism Womp Womp.
Womp womp. At
the end of the day, people make a great point. And it probably was planned as a marketing stunt, and it fucking worked. I do fear it was intentionally
done. Like, she did it for the controversy. Like, sex sells, controversy sells. Yeah. Controversial sex sells.
Ultimate, especially controversy light, which is, like, what she's kind of continuously doing. Because the ultimate, because people talk about cancel culture, but controversy is so good with these things, but you can't do it. You got to do a certain type of controversy. Yeah. Like, if she, like, I was gonna get, like, the things
if she was, like, naked, just, like...
Well, I was gonna say if she, like, assaulted someone.
Oh, okay.
Like, the kind of, like, real controversy is not gonna make your album sell. I mean, it kind of leads back to lots of other things she's done, like when she got her outro of Nonsense from the BBC taken down, or most famously, I would say, the Feather music video in the Catholic Church, where she made the Jesus was a carpenter joke. Like, she does this is a classic trick in her playbook
to like do stuff that like gets people up in arms, because then people start talking about it more, people start thinking about it,
and it works more. This is everywhere, and it is such a small thing for it to be everywhere. We've been recording for like an hour, almost 2 hours about talking about this, and it's partly because it's really interesting, but also like at the end of the day, her hair is being lightly tugged in the photo. This man's not beating her.
Show me a real hair pull, huh?
You're like, actually choke me. Come on.
Actually choke
me. Like, it's not like she's not got a black eye in the photo. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's like, it's not the level, and this is everywhere. Like, so many people talk, and especially in the pop culture space. And
there is an argument to be made that she is playing into this hypersexualization because she knows that it gets people talking.
Like, do you remember the Juno move with the microphone, the where she was mimicking fellatio on stage? That got so much buzz.
And it makes her money.
And it makes her so much money.
There is an argument to be made that she plays into these arguments.
I mean, the crass nonsense outros is what brought her from like a C-level pop star to the A-list. Like, that's what made Emails I Can't Send so viral, was these viral videos of her doing the nonsense outros at the concerts. That was one of the biggest contributors to her success today.
And she plays into her own sexuality because it makes her money. Yeah. And in that sense, she is furthering the idea that women's bodies make money, and sexualizing women's bodies is like a thing that you can do to make money.
And is she selling herself? Yeah. But then, unfortunately, under capitalism, we all kind of are. I mean, obviously this podcast doesn't really make any money, but like, if it did,
sponsor this podcast.
Sponsor the podcast. But listen to the podcast. Thank you for listening. Yeah. But like, ultimately, like, I guess my ultimate goal is to make it good. But if it does, like, you know, I would be selling my opinions, selling my personality, selling my relationship with my friends. You know, like, it is unfortunately, under this like capitalistic structure, that's the name of the game, unfortunately. And as we were saying,
just because it's the name of the game doesn't mean we can't critique it.
Yeah, we can critique it, but we can also accept that it doesn't make us fundamentally awful people.
And like I said, I think the best way for Sabrina Capenter I think the worst thing that she could do, really honestly, is just to keep doing the same thing, and not...
She's gonna have to mix it up. So this is the thing I do fear with the new album, is I fear, because Manchild is a very similar vibe to Short and Sweet, and I love a new thing. It's a problem. It's a similar thing to how I felt about Taylor Swift, is that she had this trick and she learned how to do it so good, and then she kept doing it, and she kept doing it, and she kept doing it, and she's on a bit of a break now, and I'm kind of hoping maybe she can find something new to do.
Yeah, like, Sabrina, make a girl so confusing.
Sabrina, Sabrina, collab with Olivia Rodrigo.
Work
it out on the remix.
Make a girl so confusing. Like,
please,
have a song that's not about men.
They're both gonna have
grow. And you know, like the album cover.
Kiss Some More Girls.
No, actually, don't Kiss More Girls.
Me.
I don't actually fuck with her. Like, kind of playing with.
No, not for camera. In private.
Okay.
In private, Kiss More Girls. Me.
I'm also here. I think I didn't care. I mean, I didn't really mind the album cover so much. I kind of did mind her Rolling Stone covers.
Oh, really?
I thought that was like a little bit like, oh, okay, like. Now, because like, you know what actually bothered me about those specific. They're so heavily edited.
Yes.
It looks like she looks like.
But that truly, doll. I think, is out of her control.
Yeah, but because
that's a problem with everything with like magazines and stuff like that, and that's a huge like industry problem that I think needs to be like.
She's so edited, and
because she doesn't even look like herself.
No, she doesn't.
And of those album covers, like when her armpit is smoothed out on the Espresso album cover, that made me like even and I was like, are we brushing armpits now? And we are.
I think the Sabrina Capenter is I think at her worst when she kind of loses some of her creative control. I think that happened with Rolling Stone. I also think it happened with the Met Gala. I think she didn't wear what she actually wanted to wear. Yeah. I don't think she wanted to wear that kind of pantsless thing. Because if you look at her pictures that she posts of her Met Gala outfit on her Instagram, she like cuts it off at the knee, and like it's 3 photos. First photo is cut off at the knee. Second 2 photos, it's just the top half. And I feel like she didn't want to actually wear just full.
Well, there is that
legs
snippet
out.
of her conversation with Pharrell, who was designing her, where she like he kind of goes like, "Oh, no pants for you. You're too short for pants," and it kind of does imply that there was a conversation beforehand where she wanted to have more of a full suit. And
you see, like, she's at the after party, she's wearing something completely different. And I really do.
That is actually such a good point, that she is at her weakest when losing that creative control. In conclusion, let women control their own bodies.
Yeah. Sabrina Capenter, make more women, make more music, make the men music, but also make the women music.
And you're allowed to be heterosexual. It's okay.
It's okay to
and it's also
like men. Men are great. I love men. And women. I love everyone.
There are some men that I like.
And non-binary people. Shout out them.
Shout out my 2 previous guests, Asa and Sam. Men that they are certified men that I say, as someone who's like, I don't like men. So far, you are my first non-man guest.
Yeah.
Technically, get to have a woman guest.
Yeah. Gotta get on that.
Yeah, I gotta fix that. Well, get the fuck out of here, you non-binary freak. And with that, I think that is going to conclude our episode for this week. Zoe, thank you so much for joining me.
I had such a good time.
Did you? Oh, thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to shout out before we disappear?
Oh, God.
With this grand platform of 200 listeners that I have.
Let me think about that for a second. Okay. Shout out unions. Shout out unionism and collective solidarity. And you know what? Actually, for real, shout out the Palestine protest that happen every Sunday.
Yeah.
Or at least every 2 weeks.
And with that brings us to the end.
And with that,
Please leave a like or a comment on whatever platform you're listening to us on. Give us a rating. I have some social media pages I'm going to link down below that hopefully will be up by now. Please follow us on social media, and by us I mean me, because I'm really trying to get this off the ground, because I love my podcast and I try really hard with it, and I am trying to not be a failure.
And it's really good, and I've listened to every episode and I like them.
Oh, thank you.
And they're really good. And you have it, if you're only listening to this episode for me, you go and
watch / listen. The others all have video, including this one, except
others, for the part of it
where it doesn't, but it will still have video.
Yeah.
And with that, that's the end. Do you want to say, should we say farewell?
Bye.
Bye. All right, cut.